Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are heading to a place that I think everyone thinks they know. But the more I looked into the research you pulled, the more I realized our collective mental image is, well, it's wrong.
Hmm.
Or at least it's scientifically incomplete. We are heading to the top of the world. We are talking about the Arctic.
It is a fascinating place to deconstruct. And you're right, usually when you say Arctic, people immediately access a very specific file in their brain.
Totally.
They picture snow, they picture ice, they picture blizzards, they picture a winter wonderland.
I picture getting buried in snow. I picture moisture, humidity, dampness.
And that is the first trap.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we need to dismantle if we really want to understand how life survives up there.
Okay.
Because technically, the Arctic is a desert.
See, this is where I got stuck reading the prep. A desert, by definition, implies sand and heat. The Arctic is literally an ocean of frozen water. How do we square that circle?
We have to look at the definition of a desert. It isn't about temperature. It's strictly about precipitation. To be a desert, a region usually needs to receive less than 10 inches of rain, or, the melted equivalent of snow per year.
And the high Arctic.
It is bone dry.
But there's snow everywhere. I mean, the pictures are just endless fields of white.
There is snow on the ground, yes.
Yeah.
But that snow didn't necessarily fall yesterday or even last month.
Okay.
It might have fallen years ago. It just doesn't melt. The wind blows it around, creating these massive drifts that give the illusion of a storm. But from an atmospheric perspective, the Arctic is starved of moisture.
So why? Is it just that there's no evaporation because it's so cold?
It's thermodynamics.
Yeah.
It's actually really simple when you break it down. Think of the air like a sponge.
Okay.
Warm air is a loose, expanded sponge. It has a lot of capacity to hold water vapor. That's why humid days feel so heavy and sticky.
Right, you can feel the water in the air.
Exactly. But cold air is a sponge that has been squeezed tight. The molecules are packed closer together. It physically cannot hold moisture.
So the air at the North Pole is essentially squeezing itself dry.
Precisely. If you were standing at the pole, the humidity is so low that your skin would dry out faster than it would in the Sahara.
That's incredible.
It is a frozen, dehydrated landscape sitting on top of an ocean.
That sets the stage for a much harsher environment than just it's cold. You're dealing with dehydration and freezing at the same time.
At the same time. And then you add the second layer of difficulty, which is really the engine that drives this entire deep dive.
The sun.
The light, or more accurately, the chaos of the light cycle.
Right, because we aren't dealing with a 9 to 5 sun cycle here. We are dealing with, what, planetary geometry?
We're dealing with the tilt. The Earth spins on an axis that is tilted at about 23.5 degrees relative to the sun.
Okay.
In the tropics, that doesn't matter much. You get day and night pretty consistently. But at the top of the ball, at the poles, that tilt locks you into extremes.
So in the summer, you are tilted toward the sun, and it literally never sets.
Never.
It just does a circle in the sky.
24 hours of sunshine, no dark night. And in the winter, you're tilted away, and you get the polar night.
No bright day.
None. Just twilight or darkness for months.
And this just breaks the rules of biology, doesn't it? I mean, most animals on Earth run on circadian rhythms. The sun comes up, you wake up. The sun goes down, you sleep.
That rule book gets thrown out the window here. The source material is very clear on this. Because the light doesn't dictate a schedule, the animals don't have standard routines.
So they're just on all the time.
They become opportunistic. You eat when the food is there. You sleep when you collapse. It's a relentless, rhythmless existence.
So to try and bring some order to this chaos, we are going to structure this deep dive in a specific way. We are going to track a chronological journey, a single 24-hour cycle in the Arctic spring, starting in the early morning. We want to see how life functions hour by hour in a place where time feels irrelevant.
It's the best way to see the machinery of the ecosystem. I mean, even though the sun might not set, the quality of light changes, and that does trigger different behaviors.
So let's gear up. Park is on, plenty of moisturizer since we established it's a desert. We are starting our clock at 4 a.m.
4 in the morning.
Now, normally 4 a.m. is pitch black. But we are in the Arctic spring.
Right. In April, which is the sweet spot our sources focus on, 4:00 a.m. is not dark, it's dusky.
Dusky.
The sun has dipped low, it's just skimming the horizon, but it hasn't disappeared. The world is washed in this gray, flat twilight. It's very eerie.
We're standing on the pack ice. It's quiet. What is the first sign of life we encounter?
We are looking at a nursery, specifically the whelping patches of the harp seal.
Whelping is just a fancy term for giving birth, right?
Correct. But imagine the scale of this. Thousands of female harp seals have hauled their heavy bodies out of the water and onto this drifting ice sheet to give birth. And lying on the ice, you see the pups,
The white
the
coat.
white coats.
I feel like we have to pause on the white coat thing, because if you Google a harp seal pup, you get these images that are almost painfully cute.
Oh, they're weapons-grade cute.
Big, glassy black eyes, pure white fluff. That looks like a stuffed animal.
It does.
Yeah.
But that cuteness is a functional, desperate biological adaptation.
How so?
Well, obviously the white fur is camouflage. If you are a helpless nugget of protein sitting on a white ice sheet, you need to blend in to avoid being eaten.
Right. Makes sense.
But the real story here isn't the color. It's the speed.
Speed. They aren't moving. They're just lying there looking cute.
The metabolic speed. Think about a human baby. It takes a year to learn to walk. It takes years and years to become independent. A harp seal pup has about 12 to 14 days.
2 weeks.
To do what? To go from a fragile newborn to an independent marine mammal capable of hunting in freezing water. The mother seal is transferring energy to that pup at a rate that is almost physically impossible.
Is it the milk? I assume it has to be the milk.
It is the milk. Get this. To give you a comparison, cow's milk or human milk is maybe 3 or 4% fat.
Okay.
Harp seal milk is roughly 50% fat.
50. 50.
50%.
That's not milk. That's liquid butter.
It's basically liquid mayonnaise. It is rocket fuel. The pup gains about 5 pounds a day.
Wow.
You could almost watch them inflate in real time. And they have to, because the clock is ticking, the ice is breaking up. The mother is going to leave.
So they get abandoned.
After about 2 weeks, yes.
Yeah.
She has to go feed herself. So if that pup hasn't built that thick layer of blubber and shed that absorbent white fur for a waterproof adult coat in 2 weeks, it dies.
So the white coat phase is essentially a 2-week sprint to not freeze to death.
Exactly. It's not a childhood. It's a manufacturing process.
Yeah.
And after those 2 weeks, the white fur just falls out and they have the sleeker gray adult coat. By 4 weeks old, they're in the water catching their own fish. It's just brutally efficient.
And looking at the mothers, this environment is crowded. You said thousands of seals. At 6 a.m., the colony is active. How does a mother find her specific white coat in a sea of identical white fluff balls?
It looks chaotic, but they have a very tender, specific mechanism for this. It's the nose touch.
The nose touch.
Yes. You'll see mothers and pups touching noses. It looks like a kiss or a greeting, but it's actually a biometric scan.
A scan.
They're smelling each other's breath and face to confirm identity. It's all about scent. Yes, this is my scent, you are mine.
And once that confirmation happens, the feeding the mayonnaise transfer begins.
Right. And while we're there, watching them move on the ice, they look clumsy. They're essentially sausages. They sort of wriggle.
Clumsy.
But the source points out something interesting about their anatomy even here. They stroke alternately with their back flippers.
So it's a rear-wheel drive system?
Essentially.
Right.
Unlike sea lions, which use their front flippers to fly underwater, true seals, like the harp seal, power from the back. It makes them incredibly efficient swimmers, even if they look like slugs on the ice.
So we leave the frantic nursery of the seals. The sun is creeping higher. It's 7 a.m. The light is shifting from that dusky gray to a brighter, sharper white. And this is where the theme of the episode shifts. We go from growth to invisibility.
Right. Segment 2. The art of invisibility.
Because the seals aren't the only ones trying to blend in. It seems like the baseline requirement for living in the Arctic is be white.
It is an evolutionary arms race of camouflage. If you are prey, you need to be white to hide. If you are a predator, you need to be white to sneak up on the prey. Everyone is playing the same game.
But there are nuances to this. It's not just painting yourself white. Let's talk about the ermine.
The ermine. A type of stoat. Think of a weasel, small, frantic, carnivorous.
Okay.
In the winter, they turn pure white to match the snow. But they have one flaw in the paint job.
Ooh, the tail.
Right, the very tip of the tail is jet black.
Which seems like a terrible design flaw. I mean, if the whole point is to disappear, why have a high-contrast black flag waving behind you? Doesn't that just tell every hawk in the sky, here I am, lunch is served?
It does exactly that. But that's the genius. It's a calculated risk. It's a decoy.
A decoy? How?
Think about it from the predator's perspective. A snowy owl or a hawk is scanning the white ground. It's hard to see the white body of the ermine, but if the ermine moves, the eye catches the motion. What does the predator lock onto? The area of highest contrast, the black tip.
So the bird strikes at the tail.
Exactly. The bird dives for the black spot. but the tail is trailing behind all the vital organs. If the bird grabs the tail, the ermine might lose some fur or get a nasty scratch, but it has a split second to twist, bite, or dive into a hole.
It saves the head and the heart by sacrificing the tail.
It saves its life. It's weaponized distraction. Oh, look here, not here.
That is incredible. Just what a clever little trick.
And speaking of the things hunting the ermine, we have the snowy owl. Now, usually when we talk about owls, we think nocturnal, right?
Hunting in the dead of night.
But we already established that night is a relative concept here.
Yeah, it's not a thing for half the year.
Right. You can't be strictly nocturnal in a place where the sun stays up for months. So the snowy owl has adapted to hunt whenever. Dawn, dusk, high noon. They are flexible.
But the thing that really stood out to me in the research was their nesting strategy. We talked about the seals having a frantic childhood. The owls have well, let's call it a Hunger Games childhood.
It is the darker side of nature for sure. It's pretty brutal. Most birds lay a clutch of eggs, say 4 or 5, and then start sitting on them.
So they all hatch at the same time.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
The parents have a nest full of triplets or quadruplets of the same size. Nice and fair.
But the snowy owl doesn't do that.
No. The mother starts incubating the moment the first egg is laid.
Oh, so the first egg gets a head start.
A significant one. By the time the 4th or 5th egg hatches, the first chick is already big, strong, and demanding food. You have a nest of stair-step siblings.
And if it's a bad year, if there aren't enough lemmings to eat?
This is the brutal logic of the Arctic. If food is scarce, the big chick eats. And often, the big chick eats the little chick.
It cannibalizes its own siblings.
It does. It sounds horrific to us, but from an evolutionary standpoint, it is an insurance policy.
How is that an insurance policy?
If resources are low, it is better to raise 1 or 2 strong, healthy survivors than to try to split the food 5 ways and have everyone starve. The parents are hedging their bets. The last born are basically emergency food rations for the firstborn.
It's practical cold efficiency.
The Arctic doesn't have room for sentimentality.
There is also a detail about the parents' color. We said everyone is white, but the snowy owl has a gender divide.
Yes, sexual dimorphism. The males are almost pure, ghostly white. But the females have dark brown flecks or bars on their feathers.
Why the difference?
It comes down to their roles. The male is the hunter. He is out flying against the white sky or the white snow, so being pure white is the best camouflage.
Okay.
The female is the one stuck on the ground, sitting on that nest. And the ground isn't always pure snow. It's tundra, rocks, dirt. The brown flecks help break up her outline so she looks like a rock or a mound of earth.
So she blends into the nest, he blends into the sky.
Exactly. It's perfect specialization.
And this theme of white camouflage continues. We have the Arctic hare,
Which is the biggest of all hares. A huge animal. And they are white all year round. Even in the summer, they just get a sort of grayish hue.
and the ptarmigan.
Right, which is perched in the snow, winter white, but that's a bird that does change. In summer, it becomes speckled brown and gray to match the tundra.
So everyone is either white or has a very good reason not to be.
Pretty much.
Okay, we have the small skirmishes covered, the ermine, the owl. But as the morning wears on, it's getting toward 8:00 or 9:00 a.m. We need to talk about the reason most animals are nervous. We need to talk about the apex.
Segment 3, the lone wanderer, the polar bear.
This is the anchor of the episode, and I want to spend some time here because I think, like the desert concept, we have a cartoon image of a polar bear that misses the reality.
We do.
We see the Coca-Cola bear, we don't see the biological machine.
No, we don't. And we need to appreciate the sheer scale of this animal. The source puts it bluntly. A mature male can weigh 1,400 pounds. That is 650 kilograms.
To put that in perspective, that is a smart car. That is as much as 10 people.
And imagine that smart car walking across ice that might only be a few feet thick and doing it silently.
That's the part that gets me. They're ghosts. How does an animal that heavy move silently on ice? We talked about the plantigrade walk earlier, walking on the soles of the feet.
Right. Most predators, wolves, cats walk on their toes. It's called digitigrade. It's great for sprinting.
Right.
But bears walk flat-footed, heel to toe, just like humans.
Which usually makes you slower and clunkier.
On land, maybe.
Yeah.
But on ice, that flat foot spreads the weight over a massive surface area. It's like having built-in snowshoes. It prevents them from crashing through thin ice.
Okay, that makes sense.
But more importantly, if you look at the soles of their feet, they're not smooth. They have these tiny bumps called papillae.
Like taste buds.
Structurally similar, yes.
Yeah.
They are soft, friction-generating pads. It's like having built-in non-slip socks. They can place a paw down on slick ice, and it doesn't slide, it doesn't squeak. They can stalk with absolute silence.
And they have to be silent because the hunt isn't a chase, is it? It's a siege.
That is the perfect word for it. A siege.
Yeah.
Polar bears are not marathon runners. They overheat easily because they're so well insulated.
Right.
They are ambush predators. They rely on what's called the still hunt.
Walk us through that.
So, you are a bear. You are wandering this featureless white void. Your eyes are useful, but your nose is your radar. A polar bear can smell a seal from miles away.
Even if the seal is under the ice?
Yes, because seals have to breathe. They maintain these small breathing holes in the ice. The bear finds one of these holes, which is like finding a needle in a haystack, and then it stops.
It just waits.
It waits. Total stillness for hours, sometimes for a day or more. It stands or lies over that hole, staring down, waiting for the tiny disturbance of water. That means a seal is coming up for air.
And the seal has no idea.
The seal is just looking for oxygen. But the moment it breaks the surface, swipe. The bear uses that massive paw and the non-slip grip to haul a 150-pound seal through a 6-inch hole in the ice in one motion.
That's a terrifying display of patience and power. But there is one exception to this solitary, silent hunting life, and that's the mothers.
The maternal cycle of the polar bear is, in my opinion, one of the greatest physiological feats in the animal kingdom.
This is the denning cycle.
Right. So the female's pregnant. In the autumn, she digs a den, usually in a deep snowdrift on a coastal slope. She crawls inside, and the snow covers the entrance. She is sealed in.
And she stays there.
She stays there all winter. She gives birth usually to 2 tiny, helpless cubs in the pitch black of December or January. And she nurses them.
But she isn't eating them.
She eats nothing. She drinks nothing. She doesn't even defecate. For months, sometimes up to 8 months from the time she enters to the time she leaves, she is running entirely on her own fat reserves.
So she's recycling everything.
Her body is a closed-loop system. She is converting her own body mass into milk to grow her cubs while she herself is starving.
That is metabolic martyrdom.
It is. By the time they emerge in the spring, which is the timeline we are on now in our 24-hour cycle, she is emaciated. She has lost a massive percentage of her body weight.
So when they burst out of that den...
It is a moment of pure urgency. The source describes the scene. The mother and cubs emerging into the bright spring light. The cubs are playful, they're wrestling, practicing their fighting skills. They've never seen the sun before.
But the mother...
The mother is on a mission. She needs food immediately. Her life and their lives depend on her making a kill fast.
And when she catches it...
It is a massacre. The source notes that when a starving mother bear catches a seal, nobody cares if they make a big mess. They eat until they're physically unable to eat another bite. They eat the blubber, the skin, the meat, everything.
And this mess is actually crucial for the rest of the ecosystem, right?
It is. The bear is the provider. The Arctic fox, the gulls, the ravens, they all follow the bear. They can't break through the ice to get the seals. They need the bear to open the package.
So the bear feasts and the crumbs feed the village.
Exactly. Nothing goes to waste.
Okay, let's check the position of the sun. It is 10:00 a.m., the mid-morning rush. The light is blindingly bright now, reflecting off the snow, and we run into the herds.
Segment 4. We are looking at the reindeer.
Or caribou. This always confuses me.
This is the classic confusion. Let's clear it up.
Yeah.
Biologically, they are Rangifer tyrannus. Same species.
Okay.
In North America, we tend to call them caribou if they're wild. In Europe and Asia, they are called reindeer, especially if they are domesticated. But it's the same animal.
So for our purposes, we're looking at the most abundant large mammal in the Arctic.
Millions of them. And they are the landscape architects.
They're diggers.
They have to be. The food lichen, moss, is under 2 feet of snow. So they use their hooves, which are scooped like shovels, to dig craters and get to the vegetation.
But the source mentioned something about their antlers that I found hilarious. We think of antlers for fighting or display, but they have a much more mundane use.
The horny hoof anecdote.
Yes. Tell me about that.
It's a great detail. If you are a chunky 400-pound animal with short legs and you have an itch in the middle of your back, you can't reach it. But if you have a massive bony candelabra growing out of your head, you lean back and use the antler tine to scratch that hard-to-reach place.
It's the world's most expensive back scratcher.
Form follows function. It's a perfect tool for the job.
And skirting the edges of this herd, we have the Arctic fox. We mentioned them as scavengers following the bear, but they are fascinating little machines on their own.
They really are.
And I want to talk about their shape. their geometry.
Mm.
Compare an Arctic fox to a red fox you might see in a London garden or an American suburb. They look different.
They do. The Arctic fox looks stubbier.
Yes.
Shorter legs, tiny rounded ears, shorter muzzle. Looks like a plush toy.
Why? Is it just to look cute?
No, it's physics again.
Yeah.
It's a biological principle called Allen's rule. In cold climates, animals tend to have shorter limbs and appendages.
To reduce surface area.
Exactly. Heat escapes through surface area. Giant ears, like a desert fennec fox. Those radiators to dump heat. Tiny ears on an Arctic fox. Those are to keep heat in. The closer you are to a sphere, the better you retain warmth. The Arctic fox is trying to be a sphere.
The spherical fox. I like it.
And they need that efficiency because they are ultramarathon runners. The source calls them the traveler.
How far'd they go?
They've tracked individual foxes covering 600 miles, it's 1,000 kilometers, in a single foraging trip.
That is like walking from New York to Detroit on legs that are 6 inches long.
In the snow, without a map, just hoping to find a dead seal or a bird's nest. It is relentless endurance.
So we've covered the land, we've seen the bear, the fox, the caribou, but the Arctic is a marine environment. And as we hit 11:00 a.m., we're going to slide into the water with the heavyweights.
Segment 5, Giants of the Sea, the walrus.
I have a soft spot for walruses. They just seem so baroque. They are over the top.
They are magnificent monsters. Males can weigh 2 tons, that's 4,000 pounds.
And the tusks. Both males and females have them, and I always assumed they were weapons, like swords.
They can be used for fighting, sure, but their primary evolutionary purpose is actually as a tool. Think of them less like swords and more like ice axes.
Ice axes.
Imagine you are a 4,000-pound blob of blubber in the water. You want to get onto an ice floe that is 3 feet above your head. It's wet, it's slippery. How do you do it?
You hook the tusks?
You hook the tusks into the ice and pull. You lever your massive body out of the water. The scientific name for the walrus, Odobenus rosmaris, literally means tooth walker.
That is such a cool image, walking on your teeth.
But the most amazing engineering is in how they eat. Because they don't use the tusks for food, they eat clams.
Benthic feeders, eating off the bottom of the sea.
Right. It's dark, it's muddy down there. They find the clams with their mustache, the vibrissae, which are incredibly sensitive.
Yeah.
But once they find a clam, how do they open it? They don't have hands. They don't have crushing teeth like a hyena.
Do they just swallow it whole, shell and all?
No. Get this. They use hydraulics.
Hydraulics, like a construction vehicle.
A walrus can shape its tongue and mouth to create a piston effect. First, they can squirt a high-pressure jet of water to blast the mud away from the clam.
Okay, a power wash it.
Then, once the shell is exposed, they lock their lips onto it and retract that tongue like a plunger.
A vacuum.
A massive vacuum. It generates so much negative pressure that it rips the clam meat right out of the shell. They leave the shell behind and swallow the meat. It's like a biological shop vac.
That is the most sophisticated dining I have ever heard of.
It's incredibly efficient. They can eat thousands of clams a day like this.
And looking at the source, there is one more walrus fact we have to mention. The sleeping.
Oh, this is the best. Walruses can sleep underwater.
But they breathe air. How does that work?
They do. So, to solve this problem, they have air sacs in their throats. They're called pharyngeal pouches. They can inflate these sacs with air.
Wait, like internal water wings?
Exactly. That is the perfect analogy. They inflate the pouches, which keeps their head buoyant and bobbing above the surface, and then they just fall asleep.
So they just float around.
They bob around in the freezing ocean, held up by their own throat balloons, catching a nap.
That sounds like the most relaxing thing in the world.
If you have 4 inches of blubber to keep you warm, I'm sure it is.
So we leave the walruses bobbing in the waves. It is now high noon, midday. The sun is at its peak, and we are heading to the edge.
The flow edge.
This is a specific term in the Arctic, right? It's an important place.
It is critical. The flow edge is the boundary line where the land-fast ice, the ice attached to the shore, ends and the open ocean begins.
Why is this spot so important?
It's the meeting of 2 worlds. You have the stability of the ice for the bears and people to stand on, and you have the open water for the whales and seals to breathe in. It's a biological hotspot. It's where everyone meets.
And the source makes a weird point about the temperature here. It says the water is warm.
Labs. Warm is relative, right? The water is about 28 degrees Fahrenheit, or -2 Celsius. It's freezing.
Right.
But the air might be -30. So thermodynamically, the water is a heat source. It's a sauna compared to the air.
Okay, got it. And this is where we find the whales.
The Arctic triumvirate. The narwhal, the beluga, and the bowhead.
Let's start with the narwhal, the unicorn of the sea.
Literally. Historians are pretty sure that narwhal tusks, brought back by traders, were the origin of the unicorn myth in Europe. People thought they were magical horns. But biologically, what is that tusk?
It's a tooth?
It's a tooth. It's the left canine tooth that grows out through the upper lip in a spiral. It can be 10 feet long.
It's such a bizarre adaptation. Is it for fighting? For spearing fish?
Sometimes you see them crossing tusks, sort of fencing, but recent research suggests it's actually a sensory organ.
A sensory organ.
It's porous and packed with millions of nerve endings. They might use it to detect changes in water salinity or temperature or even barometric pressure. It's a 10-foot weather station sticking out of their face.
Nature is wild. And swimming right next to them, you have the belugas, the white whales.
The canaries of the sea, they chirp and whistle and make all these amazing sounds. They are pure white, and they have those flexible necks so they can nod and turn their heads, which gives them a very human-like quality.
But the source mentions they are vulnerable.
They are. They're small, they're relatively slow, and they're soft. They get eaten by killer whales. And, surprising to many, they get eaten by polar bears.
Bears eating whales.
If a beluga gets trapped in a shrinking hole in the ice, a bear can reach in and drag it out. It's a massive caloric jackpot for the bear.
And finally, the giant, the bowhead whale.
The heavyweight champion, these guys can live for 200 years.
Wait, 200?
Yeah. There are bowhead whales swimming around today that were born before the American Civil War. They are living time capsules.
And unlike the narwhal or beluga, they don't have teeth.
No teeth. They have baleen.
This is the whalebone of the 19th century, the stuff they used for corsets and umbrella ribs.
Exactly. But it's not bone. It's keratin, like your fingernails. It hangs from the upper jaw like a fringed curtain.
How does it work?
They are filter feeders. They swim with their massive mouths open, and the mouth is big enough to park a car in. They take in huge gulps of water filled with krill and plankton.
And
Then they use their tongue to push the water out through the baleen. The water escapes, but all the tiny food gets trapped in the fringe. Then they just lick it off and swallow.
So the biggest animal in the Arctic eats the smallest food.
It's the classic rule of the ocean. The biggest engines run on the smallest fuel.
So we have tracked this day from the dusky 4:00 a.m. nursery, the seals, to the high noon playground of the whales. We've seen the ermine's decoy, the bear's patience, the walrus's vacuum.
That's a dizzying array of adaptations, isn't it?
It is. But looking at this whole picture, the thing that strikes me is how interconnected it all is.
Nothing exists in isolation. The bear needs the seal. The fox needs the bear to leave scraps. The seal needs the ice to give birth. The walrus needs the ice to rest.
And everything is driven by that tilt of the earth and the return of the sun.
The whole system is a machine built for one specific set of conditions.
But there is a heavy note in the source material we have to address in the outro. The stage on which this play is happening, the ice is changing.
It is. The Arctic is fundamentally a frozen ocean. But the data shows it is becoming less frozen. The Earth is warming. The extent of the summer sea ice is shrinking year after year. The ice is thinning.
We talked about the polar bear being a specialist. The still hunt requires ice. If there is no ice, there is no hole to wait by.
Exactly. A specialist is a genius as long as the problem remains the same. The polar bear is the genius of the ice. But if the ice disappears, the strategy fails.
And the walrus.
If the platform melts, the walrus has nowhere to haul out and rest. The seal has nowhere to whelp. The entire foundation of that food web starts to crumble.
It changes the 24-hour cycle we just walked through. We are watching a clock that might be counting down.
It raises a provocative question for the listener. We marvel at how perfectly these animals fit their environment. They're puzzle pieces cut to fit the Arctic. But what happens when the shape of the puzzle changes faster than the pieces can evolve?
That is the big question. The Arctic is resilient, but it is not invincible.
It is a reminder that even at the top of the world, in the middle of a frozen desert, everything is fragile.
A fascinating, if slightly sobering, place to leave it. Thank you for taking this journey to the pole with us.
Always a pleasure.
And to you listening, thanks for diving deep. We'll catch you on the next one.